We are thrust into this adventure with flashes of Brad Pitt's first crash, the typical sort of career ended too early for an up-and-coming star incident that's always in the 90s for some reason. Brad Pitt's Sonny Hayes has since been driving in various different motor races, with the Daytona 500 being our introduction to his character. We learned that he only races for the love of the game and not for the fame or money or any of that shallow bullshit, as exemplified when he won't even touch the trophy after they win the Daytona for some fucking reason. In terms of the story, we need the context of his initial F1 crash to understand that Hayes was once a phenom, and although still a talented racer, it has been some time since his glory days were cut abruptly short. I guess in a way he's kind of like if Doc Hudson returned to the Piston Cup to beat Lightning McQueen for one more chip. The second crash comes after Hayes' old racing buddy Ruben Cervantes, played by Javier Bardem, informs him that he needs a driver for his ailing Formula One team, Apex GP. He has a young driver with a lot to learn, and he thinks Hayes' experience along with this new kid's aptitude can keep him from having to sell the team if they don't win a race. Hayes agrees, and during his test run of Cervantes' car, he crashes before even reaching the finish line. This is a bit of a side note, but if I brought my boy, who I thought was tough, to like test drive one of my whips, and the first thing he's gonna do is just crash it, I can't lie, it'd be hot, but I guess that's just me. It's also important to note that he does post a faster time than his new teammate, the cocky Joshua Pierce, played by Damson Idris, somehow, even though he presumably hasn't sat in an F1 car in like 3 decades, but you know, whatever, I guess Brad Pitt's just him. We are made aware that the Apex GP car is shitty because there's no other way that Brad Pitt could have crashed that car, but this means that changes will have to be made, both technologically and strategy-wise, if Apex GP is going to bring home a dub, which is where Brad Pitt's main love interest, technical director Kate McKenna, played by Corey Condon, comes into the picture. She has the brains and skill, and Hayes has the charisma and cock necessary to push them above the rest of the multi-million-dollar funded competition. And just when it seems things are finally taking a turn for Apex GP, the third crash shatters their thin veil of developing hope. From the beginning, Hayes and Pierce's relationship was strained, what with Hayes being disappointed in the youngster's arrogance and Pierce taking Hayes for a washed-up old head. But as the two began to race more together, a bit of trust began developing as Hayes proved in multiple instances that he was willing to sacrifice his own races so that Pierce could place higher, thus ensuring more success for the team overall, because, you know, he does it for the love of the game, as I said. But in a critical error, and against the advice of Hayes, Pierce attempted a dangerous racing maneuver to take first place, and ended up flying off the tracks in a blaze of glory. It resembles the bits and pieces of footage that we had been shown of Hayes' original career-halting crash, and for a moment everyone in the theater held their breath before remembering that Damson Idris is like one of the main guys and he's not allowed to die. Both his and Hayes' accidents were similar in the sense that they were caused by adolescent naivete, and at first Pierce, and especially his mother, blame Hayes' recklessness for nearly killing him. It takes some time, but after some introspection, Pierce comes to terms with the reality that Hayes had actually warned him against the move he attempted, and with this newfound humility, he is granted the second chance that the young Hayes never received. The fourth crash comes when we see Hayes' rage, that anger which we understand plays a role in his aggressive driving style, return in spectacular fashion. Following Pierce's incident, Hayes is forced to race with the backup. Honestly, this backup has more of a tragic story than Pierce, who we are supposed to sympathize with because he won't have a job or whatever if Apex GP disbands. But what about this other fool whose name I don't even know, which should say something, and who also will be unemployed? Anyways, against all the odds, Hayes starts climbing up the ranks, finishing 9th, then 7th, then 5th. However, after an anonymous source from inside the Apex GP team leaked internal documents to the F1 regulatory board, they concurred that the team was using illegal modifications and that they had to remove any recent additions made to the car, essentially killing any chance they had of winning a race. Obviously, this pisses off Brad Pitt, and instead of placing third like he should have if the winning montage were to be continued, he ends up spinning out of control and seemingly wrecking Apex GP's chances of survival. This time around, it was not a lack of maturity or experience, but rather allowing his temper to overcome his collectedness, which resulted in the crash. For the first time since we've known him, we see Hayes falter in a significant way as he lets exasperation take over, resulting in Cervantes telling him that he is off the team because he cannot bear the thought of his friend dying on his behalf. The final crash is kind of a happy one, or at least as much as an automobile catastrophe can be. So it's the final race with everything on the line. It's either win or die. And come the final lap, Pierce is neck and neck with the race leader, who's some guy that I forget right now, but they end up taking each other out. And yet, in a twisted turn of fate that nobody could have predicted, Brad Pitt takes the lead with Lewis Hamilton right on his tail. Or maybe it's the other way around, but who cares? We all know how this is ending. As the two race to the checkers, Pierce stands next to his totaled car, cheering on the man with which he had experienced numerous ups and downs. The final crash was an unintentional sacrifice. as Pierce symbolically assists Hayes to get the win that he never got when he was his age. And in turn, Hayes' victory ensures Pierce can stay on with his team, which is no longer getting sold to new management. It's a beautiful passing on of the torch, as Brad Pitt extends Apex GP's lifespan by another year until they will inevitably end up losing every race again.